This entitled grandmother is about to face off against a lifeguard, just trying to do his job and keep people safe. Her entitlement will go so far that it will even put her own grandson's life at risk. Happy birthday if today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. Last Sunday was the last swim class of the session. The way our program works is that we have a family splash on the last lesson, where we take out all the lane lines in the pool, and the parents are able to join their kids in the water to just swim around and have fun. Obviously, none of the instructors are teaching swim lessons at this time, so we stand outside the pool and lifeguard while the parents and their kids swim. So what ended up happening was that I was standing on the deck, scanning the pool, doing what lifeguards do, when this little boy catches my eye. Now, this boy happened to be in the swim class that I primarily taught, and he just so happened to be a bit of a slow learner. By the end of the session, he couldn't really push off the wall into my arms, the way that other kids could, and oftentimes his legs would hang below him when we tried to get him to kick using a kickboard. His brother was doing great, but he wasn't. So naturally, I'm on high alert when I see him with a back floaty that doesn't look fastened properly, seemingly unable to get to the wall if he needed to. The water was up to his neck, and if he had slipped out of the floaty, he most definitely would have gone under. I was under the impression that this kid was alone, because there wasn't an adult within arm's reach of him. That's one of the rules at our pool, by the way. If a kid isn't exactly able to swim on their own, they need to have an adult within arm's reach of them at all times. But just when I'm able to go get the kid to the wall, an elderly woman who I can only assume was his grandmother comes up to him. I relaxed a bit and continue to monitor the pool, looking over now and then, and making sure he's in no immediate danger. And this is where the entitlement comes in. At some point, while I'm watching the kid and his grandma, the grandma sees me looking over. I keep watching them, making sure he's alright, and then look around at the other kids. Then I move my gaze back to the kid and his grandma, and she sees me doing that again. The third time I do it, she gives me a bit of a stink eye, but of course I'm on duty and can't pay this woman much attention, so I keep scanning. They say third time's a charm, I say fourth time's the killer. The fourth time I turn my gaze towards EG and her grandson. She's now by the wall where I am and looking up at me with a pissy face.
Excuse me, can I speak to you for a moment?
For the record, lifeguards aren't supposed to talk to people while on duty for more than a minute or two, so I spoke to her while still scanning the pool. Is something wrong?
Will you stop staring at me and my grandson?
Come again?
Who are you? Why are you even here? You're creeping us out, and I will talk to the front desk if I see you staring at us again.
Ma'am, I'm a swim teacher at this pool. Right now there aren't any lessons, so I'm lifeguarding. I wasn't staring at you with malintent. I was only making sure you and your grandson were safe. I'm sorry if it came off that way.
Well, this kid and I are fine. We don't need people watching us.
Lifeguards are required by law at public swimming establishments. I need to be watching everyone swimming here.
Can you not be creepy about it at least? Goodness, how'd they even hire someone as creepy as you?
Making assumptions based on someone's appearance? Nice going, old hag. I was about to say something back, but then something catches my eye. This old hag has been spending so much of her time chewing me out for doing my job that she failed to keep an eye out for her grandson, who is floating helplessly farther away from her, farther away from the wall, and that floaty keeps rising higher and higher up his chest, and he keeps going lower. So I ignore what this lady had been saying, walk a bit down, so I'm right across from the poor kid, and throw out my rescue tube. I call for him to grab on, which he does, and safely guide him back to the wall. Grandma looks like she's going to lose it, which probably would have happened had my manager not stepped in. The rest of this went past in a blur. We got the kid a much better fitting vest, and Grandma didn't bother me the rest of the time they were there. The thing that's so crazy about EPs, or I guess in this case EGPs, is that they don't just go after people who are antagonists. So often they go after people that are actually there to help them, like stopping their grandchildren from drowning. They get some really weird thing in their head, like, oh, that guy's staring at us. That's really creepy. And once they've made their mind up, they're too stubborn to realize when they're wrong. She should be thanking the guy for looking out for them, but nope, he gets treated the complete opposite. I went to my local Microsoft store because they were holding an Overwatch tournament. Even though I don't play it that much anymore, back then Overwatch was my life. I bought Overwatch League jerseys and merchandise. I loved it. Anyways, I went to this tournament and was part of a team, Mercy Main BTW. Yes, it was spelt like that. The tournament had a shared $100 prize pool, which among 6 people wasn't so bad at the time. I would say 6 people, but then a 7th came, Entitled Kid. The story goes as follows. There was me, Entitled Kid, Entitled Mother, Microsoft employee, teammate 1 and 2. Entitled Mum and Kid entered the store.
Hey, is there a spot in the tournament?
No, unfortunately, all 4 teams have been filled. EK's face drops, so does EM's.
I'm sorry, what?
We have no spots left.
Well, make room.
I'm sorry, but these people came earlier.
Are you saying these people have priority over my son?
All the players heard that and started to get agitated. I'm sorry, ma'am. We have another tournament next week on the same day. Would you like to pre-book for that?
No, we will be on holidays.
What is that kid doing there? Pointing at me.
Yeah, he probably doesn't play the game.
EM then marches towards me, and I knew I was screwed.
Excuse me, but that employee says that you no longer allowed in the tournament. Let my son play.
Yeah! He never told me that.
Well, he told us, so get up.
I put my hand up to get the attention of the employee, and he comes over. Ma'am, we are gonna have to ask you to leave. Your son has not been given permission to play. Entitled Kid then goes for a punch, right in the jaw. To my surprise, this kid was actually quite strong, and I'm a weakling, so it hurt. Not amazingly, but it hurt. Eat it! Alright, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
He's not getting up though.
Excuse me, miss, but we have been planning this for a couple of days now. On the website it warned you that teams might fill. Yeah, sorry, but he has more priority right now over you. We pre-booked 2 days ago.
When did I ask your opinion?
Teammate 2 then rolls his eyes. EM didn't like that.
I'm sorry, but that is disrespectful. Say you're sorry to me now.
Entitled Kid then snatches teammate 2's phone then bolts out the room. Oi, get back here now, you little crap.
Don't you talk to my son like that.
He has my phone.
You talked crap to him.
I never even looked at him. Me, Entitled Mum, teammate 1 and 2, and the employee walk outside of the room and find that a security guard has stopped him. Ma'am, what is your son doing running around the store and hiding? He has my phone. Security guard searches his pockets and finds the phone.
Hey, that's my son's phone. Give it back.
Security guard to teammate 2. Is this your phone? Yes.
No, it's not. He's lying.
At this point, the security guard knew it was one of those parents and checked camera footage to find that EK stole the phone. Ma'am, we're gonna ask you to leave the store as your son has tried to steal private property.
Fine. You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
Entitled Mum and Entitled Kid then leave the store and security guard apologizes for the inconvenience. The tournament goes on and we are in game 3. Out of nowhere, 2 of the computers go out. Entitled Kid had snuck back into the store and cut 2 laptop cables with scissors. Entitled Mum was later on found outside the store. They were both caught and fined $250 to replace the cables. So now the tournament has 10 computers and not 12. You need 6 to a team. The tournament was called off for the day and we were all invited back next week to play. Mercy Main BTW didn't end up winning, but me and teammate 2 got complimentary gift cards to say sorry for what happened. Me, teammate 1 and 2 love sharing this story to this day. Now this isn't just your average harassment from an entitled mum and an entitled kid. This was a day where it was intentionally set up to run this tournament. A lot of effort and probably money went into organizing it, and a lot of people were looking forward to it. We could probably work out some sort of mathematical formula where the magnitude of the greater amount of entitlement is in relation to how many people they tick off. So in this case, this entitled mum and kid would be today's winner. I use the term win very lightly. Nobody really wins when there's an entitled parent and kid involved. Okay, let's start. For background, I went to school with Entitled Kid a very long time ago, and somehow I managed to get on his bad side. Entitled Kid didn't seem to like me, and would use any possible excuse he had to torment me and make school a living hell. Before we started sitting together in this particular class, he had already been picking on me for years, so I wasn't excited and kinda expected this from him. EK wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, and he often copied other kids' answers. I didn't want to make his attitude toward me any worse than it already was, so I would just play along and act like I didn't notice him looking over my shoulder. This went on for a while, until one day, the teacher finally held us both back after class. This is basically how the conversation went.
I have noticed both of you are getting similar scores on tests and are writing down the same answers in class. Would either of you like to admit to anything?
As I didn't want to be called a snitch, I kept my mouth shut and hoped this other kid would learn his lesson. But no, that's not how it works apparently.
Up has been stealing my answers for months. It's so annoying.
Actually, it's the other way around.
Why didn't you say this before?
She's just trying to blame it on me.
It basically ended up with me in detention, an entitled kid running free, because the way it looked was as if he told the truth and I turned the tables on him. We were still sitting next to each other in class, so he continued to copy my work. Then it came to the next test. I had heard something online about someone who got their revenge by ticking all of the answers wrong in pencil, then rubbing it out last minute and rewriting them in pen. And that is exactly what I did. I ticked every answer far from correct, to an extent where some of the answers were even quite dumb. Then around 5 minutes to the end of the test, I went through again rubbing out my answers and ticking the correct answers in pen, also intentionally covering most of my answers so that he struggled to copy them. EK's expression was a mixture of anger and defeat, as he knew he couldn't do anything now. It was priceless. After the test, he came up to me looking pale and worried, and asked me why I did that. I acted like I had no idea what he was talking about, and he stormed off angrily. We handed in the tests, and when they came back, I got a decent score as usual, and he failed miserably. Teacher even made a comment on how messy it looked when he scribbled out his answers. I bet you think this is the end. No, we're only just getting started. This is entitled Mum's time to shine. It wasn't that long after the test, maybe a week or so, when me and my parents were called into the school to attend a meeting with teacher, entitled kid, and entitled mum. This is how it went.
EM has contacted us about Op bullying EK. Op, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes? What exactly did I do?
You made EK fail his test. Could you explain how Op managed to do that?
EM goes on to explain exactly what I did, and teacher suddenly realized who was really cheating off of who.
So your kid was cheating?
No, he already knew all of the answers anyway. It's just a waste of time.
Yes, EM actually told teacher it was a waste of her dumb kid's time, whilst basically admitting that he cheated.
But he was copying the answers anyway?
EM didn't really have much to say after that. EK was given a detention and left in a huff, and I got an apology from the teacher for the detention I was put in. Unfortunately, I don't have a really amazing ending. An entitled kid continued to annoy me throughout the rest of my time at that school, but here's my story with EK and EM anyway. We've all had that kid in class who's looking over everyone's shoulder to get the answers, and it just makes you think, where did he actually end up in life? I don't know, maybe like a politician or something. That's probably a good fit. Entitled people are really good at playing the victim. Even though they're the one causing all the problems, they'll project that onto somebody else, have them take all of the blame, and pretend like they were the victim the whole time. Yeah, so that confirms it, a politician. Perfect fit. I'm a babysitter, and it is not uncommon for people to ask to see my house before leaving their kid. It was a normal day, and I had a new woman, entitled Mum, dropping off her 7-year-old son, entitled Kid. She asked to see the inside of my house because of anxiety reasons. Of course, I agreed. I bring them into my house and let them look around the living room and kitchen. Entitled Kid happens to notice my betta, swimming in his tanks, and runs over to it.
Mommy, look at the fish!
He begins tapping on the glass and I politely tell him to stop. EM looks annoyed. I talk to EK about my fish for a minute.
Mommy, I want it!
EM pulls out her purse and begins digging for what I assumed to be her wallet.
How much do you want for the fish?
I was confused, but I went with it. I'm sorry ma'am, but my fish is my pet, and he is most definitely not for sale.
Oh, come on. It's just a fish, and my son really wants it.
Once again ma'am, my fish is not for sale. He's welcome to visit it whenever he wants, but he cannot have it. EK is beginning to start crying.
Mommy, I want the fish. Just give my child the fish. What kind of crappy babysitter won't give the child what he wants?
If he really wants a fish, then go buy him one, but I must warn you they are not very beginner friendly and require very specific care. EM is starting to get furious at this point.
Honey, just grab your fish and go.
EK reaches his nasty, dirty hands into my fish's freshly cleaned and pH balanced tank, stressing my fish out incredibly. I grabbed his wrist and took it out of the tank.
How dare you touch my son?
Your son put his hands in my fish tank.
Give my son his fish or I can ensure you will never be babysitting in this town again.
Like I freaking said, if your son really wants a fish, then go buy him one. But with your sour attitude and your kid's behavior, I can guarantee that poor fish will live a day at most. Now I'm going to have to ask you both to leave before I get anyone involved. EM tries to reach into my fish's tank and grab him herself. My blood is absolutely boiling at this point, and as I grab her arm to pull it out of my tank, she completely knocks my tank down, spilling the water and my fish all over the floor. Seeing the mess she made, EM grabs her kid and angrily walks out of my house. I don't know what it is about better fish, man, but they seem to be magnets for entitled kids and parents. I think on this channel we've had like 3 or 4 stories all with better fish. So pro tip, if you want to avoid entitled kids, apparently the answer is getting a goldfish. No stories about goldfish. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like,